First, are there public comments to open the meeting? In the absence of that, then we'll move to the first item on the agenda, which is design advice for new construction on a residential site in Kenema at 306 4th Avenue at 4th and Ganong. We'll start with the commission report.
Thank you, Chair Basinger. We have design advice for a new single-family home in Kenema. Design advice is non-binding and is meant to provide informal advice to an applicant before they submit an application, and board members give advice or feedback individually, not as a board. And I am pulling up this, while I'm pulling up the files, this property actually already has an approved plan from the HRB. It was file number 1701, a vernacular design. The property owner then sold the lot, and new owners have different plans or different ideas. And so they have a bungalow style plan for you to look at. Let me pull that up.
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty cool.
The other one?
No, I like that.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This wasn't it. Yeah.
Everybody's here for this.
There we go. Okay, so we've got a bungalow plan with an attached garage underneath, tucked underneath. This is a sloped lot, and so it will have to go through geologic hazard review. The original plan had gone through geologic hazard review after the historic review approval. And so I would imagine the footprint of this is slightly different from the footprint of the former design, and so that'll have to be re-reviewed through our geologic hazard process. The driveway is existing, an existing gravel driveway on this lot, and then there is a basalt wall along 4th Avenue. Previous conditions of approval on the original design were to have a certain distance away from that wall and to not disturb that wall at all. And so I would recommend, that would still remain. I think the applicant's here, so they might want to speak.
Come on forward and introduce yourselves. Welcome.
Thank you. Total neophytes here, so I don't know if we have to speak in this or not.
Yeah.
So we purchased the property from the previous.
Start with your name for the record.
You got it, sir. Tim Ahouse.
And Taryn Lust Ahouse.
Okay. Now go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So we bought the lot from the previous owner, and during this process, it was marketed as a 2,840 square foot home. So we didn't get the plans until they accepted our offer. So we had 30 days to do due diligence, and we were doing all the research behind it and stuff, and we really enjoyed the lot and liked the historic district itself. So we decided to go through with purchasing the lot and hopefully changing the design from a vernacular to a bungalow style.
Okay. You can answer the question that I think just came up. Is the footprint different from what was originally there?
Yes, the footprint is different. It's, so this is just prelim stuff. I didn't want our architect to do a whole lot of work until you guys were able to, bless it or give us input on what to do with it. So because it's a bungalow, it is going to be wider, but it's not much wider. So we went through all of the documents that you guys had gone through before, so I apologize you have to do this again, but we went through all of this stuff and met with our architect and went through a lot of things to try and make it not as, to make it similar as possible to the original footprint, so we'd have to change a lot of things with the geological hazard review. I met with Kelly before, and she had mentioned something about massing effect, so we wanted to try to make it a more narrow bungalow instead of a wider style bungalow. So we're just trying to do things that we read through the documents with this initial design.
How is it compared to the height as it was as the previous one, do you know?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know if he actually did a elevation height on it.
Vernacular's pretty tall.
Yeah, the vernacular, I have.
Right, I'm wondering if this one is a little bit lower than.
But there is not a dimension given.
It might have that perception that it is because of the roof change, but it might still be the same height. The vernacular, that design was had an illusion of being tall and narrow. And this
Well, yeah, with all the line, yeah,
because this one on the front view,
especially with the posts on the old one.
yeah, this looks like a 1.5-story Craftsman. Some may argue that it's a 2-story.
He just mocked that up for us today, so I don't know if that gives you any better
That's nice.
view or not of what it could look like.
It's like you could just push a button and there it is.
I wish that's how it was.
Amazing.
Well, I'm glad you didn't ask your architect to go to a lot of work. Very nice.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
Kelly had mentioned you guys would want to see foliage around as well, so I asked him to mock that up also.
Subterfuge.
I know, it's amazing what they,
Let me see that one.
The
That's really cool.
depth of the house, front to back, deep. So I have, no, there are no dimensions shown on the drawing that I have here.
these are from high
It's
school.
very handsome,
though,
that
right?
Yeah, on the,
It's a great element to see.
on the earlier design, on the one that you didn't like, there was some grading required
That's kind of cool.
toward the rear of the house,
Yeah,
grading back into the hill.
yeah, I remember that.
Some.
Yep, I remember that.
And that is an inherent problem.
Yeah, because of the steep slope, I assume. There are several very large pine trees on that property that will definitely have to be removed to get any kind of footprint on there at all, so.
The only thing I see is where there's massing is on this side here with the garages, but with this element here, really softens that side. I mean, it's a cool element on the garage so that right there, otherwise you'd have this big face, but
It
that
breaks it.
little roof over there breaks things up a lot. It's a good idea.
That was his suggestion. I didn't know what he was doing that for, so that's great.
But visually, it does.
He told
Visually,
me,
it breaks up that whole side.
he told me something about that, and I said, well, you have you have experience doing this, so.
Well, the other part that breaks it up, and it's a good idea, is having that belly band on the second level with the horizontal siding to the cedar or the hardy. That would be typical of a story-and-a-half Craftsman. You'd have different finishes, so which you've got on the front gable, dormer, and the back shed. That would be very typical.
Okay.
And this looks so much more vertical, but you know, with the kind of hipped roof.
This roof works pretty well.
It's almost like a Cape Cod,
Yeah.
because that kind of takes the visual vertical element down some.
The only other thing that I would see that, just as a thought, and it's not here or there, but typically on a front porch, a lot of times Craftsman's vernacular, well, maybe not vernacular. A lot of times the handrail where you've got that wouldn't be so much pickets as it would be like a solid pony wall.
Okay.
That would typically go across, that would have opening on the bottom. That's a tomato, because what could happen is, what could come before the board, what could be an argument is the columns that you have there, that they're starting from the ground up, where sometimes it might be built as a skirt, as a siding around or something, and then you've got a column that's on the porch with a handrail, whether it's a baluster like this with pickets or a solid wall.
Okay.
But when you've got it going from the ground up, it doesn't quite jive with the period of the house.
Yep, that makes sense.
You've got slope there, right? So you're contending with how that slope goes and what do we do to accommodate that openness? But it's kind of it's a cost thing, but typically the front porch would have a skirt around it.
Okay. So basically enclose the bottom portion.
Yeah, I would say majority of the homes you see in the teens and the 20s that are bungalows.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it shows on,
Well,
no, it doesn't show on here.
No, not really.
Not really.
And I know that's a cost thing, but it's also, that's,
The
you're
visual.
trying to hunker the house down. Craftsman's story-and-a-half, they're always like a hunkered down house.
They look like they're built into,
I actually like that look better anyway, so.
It's a heavy look that's typical of, you can look anywhere in town, that's mostly what you're gonna see.
I like that anyway, because,
But you're gonna have an argument from people saying, look, these columns look too tall or too vertical, they're not working.
okay, yeah.
And that would be an easy
Makes-
solve. You look around, you can look anywhere and you'll see that's a solid skirt wall. And then you've got that built up column.
when bungalows really play up the vertical as opposed to the horizontal, which, that's.
Sometimes the columns that you have, they're tapered or elephantine. That's a great element to a Craftsman.
I like that they're battered, so, they're,
Yeah.
Very pronounced.
And again, this is all just, you're just looking at schematics, but yeah, it is pretty good. I guess the other issue would be windows. If you've got a 2/1 right now, which could be any number of things with Craftsman, with the divided lights, the panes in the windows.
I've seen them with 2/1.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not bad.
No,
The design guidelines mention.
What do they say?
Double hung 1/1.
1/1?
Okay.
for bungalow?
So you can eliminate that. But the garages, Kelly, the garage doors, isn't there something there about glass on the doors?
Carriage style, well, I think.
Carriage
it's
with
just
glass.
Style garage doors.
Carriage with glass?
I don't
know that we
I don't think it
require
requires,
I just don't, that's what I'm asking. I don't know. I can't remember. What is it? Do you know?
I don't think that it specifies, but I think glass would
I thought
probably
I
not
read-
be typical, right?
No, that's not true. It would be.
It would be.
On a detached garage, typically it would be like a barn door with glass.
Okay.
From the odds to the teens and 20s, but this is on the house. I think it should be glass only because it softens again, it's one more thing that softens that big side. Where's the site plan? Do we have the site plan?
The only site plan would be from the original plans.
I have a copy.
So,
I thought I saw it somewhere.
Yeah.
That
There's
was
the
with
old
the
one.
vernacular.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
Your location is pretty much similar to the old plan
yes, sir.
as far as where the driveway is.
Yes, sir.
I think the hillside kind of dictates that.
Yeah.
More limited. I like the look of it.
Yeah, I think for me, I think you hit all the big things for me. The one that you didn't mention, maybe there's, and on the rendering here, the foliage hides it pretty well, but there's a big stair step on the siding.
Right here.
Yeah, that's a little bit conspicuous when I see the drawing.
Right here where the concrete
Oh, okay.
goes up and it's step framed. I guess that's part of the hillside, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to not do that, but you might.
We'll get as much siding on that
Minimize
as
it.
possible, and we can
You
plan.
can actually, in the foundation, maybe you know this already, you can side over that concrete to eliminate the big chunks, but you may have a shorter step
Yeah.
depending on that slope. Or you could pull that step back, dig back a little bit to get more siding on that.
Okay.
But rather be brief and blunt with you. It all looks pretty groovy. It's just, some may argue that this isn't a typical style in Kenema or in this area. But I don't see that as a concern. I think whether it was the house we approved before or this, from my perspective, it seems appropriate, but
Seems more appropriate than the other one,
yeah.
I think.
And I don't think it's out of scale, but that's just, I'm not speaking for everybody, that's just me. I think you hit with the gable on the front, it seems to be in pretty good scale. Let's see, the front. Yeah,
There are two Craftsman bungalows down on First Avenue. One has a gabled front
one's a shed.
and the other's a shed.
Yeah, I think
The gable is actually a phony. It's too short to have windows in it. It's decorative only.
no, this works only because, they got the shed in the back to get the space. I mean, it's a titch small, but you could go a little wider, but it's probably fine.
I think the one thing I might flag for the board is, although the previous home was approved with an attached garage,
Yeah.
the design guidelines would say that garages should be detached and along the side or behind the house.
Right.
So, just the consideration.
Good
The
findings.
lot constraints and the geography
Topography.
were the reason that we
Yeah.
approved it the last time around, and I don't think any of that's changed.
No, and I think this is better. We had recommended, I think, putting a pergola or
Yeah.
so over that element, and it didn't end up on the old plans, but it somehow ended up here. So I'm really happy to see that. And so that was the one additional thing, but it's not on the main elevation. It's not on the front of the home. It's not conspicuous from the right of way.
What's that? I'm sorry.
No.
What's that bump out, I guess, on the plan right here? That guy?
I think it's the kitchen window, and I think he was doing that to
This guy.
break up the,
The flat surface.
yeah, so.
Yeah, it's kitchen sink.
We don't don't have to have that, obviously, if you guys don't want that.
No, what I would suggest there is I wouldn't put corbels underneath it.
Oh, okay.
That wouldn't have been typical. But the roof that's on that, if you're going to do it right, that roof really should come out either side and a little bit of an overhang.
From the sides?
Yeah, see right now it's like tight.
Yep.
It needs to probably, I would come out like a foot or so and then bring it out so it looks like, kind of like the doors. You've actually got a roof on it instead of this appendage that's not, it looks just a little cut off.
Skimpy on it?
Yeah, yeah. I think if you're going to have something like that, because a lot of times like in dining rooms, they would have a bump out like for a bench seat or something, and sometimes it would come underneath the roof. But in this case, if you did something, I'd bring it out all the way around.
Okay.
Make it wider and come out further.
Yeah.
Or the,
That's the way ours was.
do you think the
Excuse me, John?
openings on the roof are deep enough for this
These,
style? Yeah.
I don't know what they are.
It's hard to say, I guess.
What are you talking about?
The overhangs where the knee braces are. They should be at least 18 to 24
I was going to
inches.
say 18 inches.
Yeah, like on the gable ends.
Okay.
Grant was saying that they should be at least 18 to
Overhang.
24. They're typically deeper on a Craftsman.
Yeah. It's hard to tell from here. They look maybe a little thin, but
So 18 inches to 24 inches for the
Overhang.
soft overhang?
Yeah, 24 would be great, but where you have the knee braces is great.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just those little things that make it,
signature.
yeah, you're not trying to, put lipstick on a box. It's, so,
Well, we want to do what we need to do so you guys feel comfortable with the design so we can move forward with it.
it
So
may not be us that you have to worry about, but anyway.
What is the siding?
I was going to use James Hardy's smooth side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know if you guys wanted the shake or not.
That's,
We could do either or. We could go without it. We could do batten and board. We would probably like to use Hardy no matter what.
Do Hardy shingles, the
Okay.
smooth, it's not the up and
The
down,
jagged
straight
one.
across.
Yep.
because I think that's more, and that helps break it up too, the verticality.
Okay.
of it.
Yeah, that's why I say with that belly band, it
Yeah.
breaks it up. And that's totally normal.
It's a very nice plan.
Yes. That's really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have anything else.
that's good.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Go forth and,
Yeah.
So we can come back maybe next month and clean some of this up and present it
Maybe.
again, or how
I
does
don't
this
know.
work usually?
You can, your next step would be to submit your application.
Okay.
And then depending on when you submit it, we schedule you at the next hearing.
Okay.
And it would be an actual public hearing at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, we're just doing design review. We take public comment.
No, not for this.
Okay.
Good luck, thank
Do
you.
you guys want these back?
Oh, yes.
These are pretty cool.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
We just got a request for public comment for this item, if you want to take it.
This what we're talking about? Are we, do we need to have that because we're just doing design review?
No, I don't think we have to, but I think we have in the
That's up
past.
to you, Ken.
We'll do it. Mr. Edgar?
Give them a minute.
They just called you.
Zach, here.
Introduce yourself and we'll give
Thank you.
your 3
Paul
minutes.
Edgar, Oregon City, Kenema. As an owner of that lot, physical lot for a lot of years, I understand the lot very well. That's historically was the judge's house property, where the initial federal judge of the Oregon Territory had his house. And so immediately to the right of what the design is, looking at 4th Avenue, there's a big cut in the property, and that's where the foundation of the old judge's house was that was torn down. So the property, the lay of the lot, and the property around it. Our house above it was built in 1880, and the houses across it and around it were all vernacular, and they're all of this period, and there were no bungalows in that hillside area from 4th Avenue and above in the original, in anything that was part of the original Kenema document. I would only hope that sometime that you guys, including any prospective buyers, would read the National Register historic document that that came about, because understanding what we're trying to preserve is the history of Kenema, and within our building guidelines, we say that it should not detract from the historic residents around it. And I believe, in my personal opinion, that that the vernacular was a much better fit. And going back to the original discussions that were with that design, the reason for putting the garage underneath the house was a cost savings. And it was because the previous owner of the lot said he could not justify having the separate garage out to the side. If you remember, that was part of the discussion. And that the fact that this does then create almost a visual 3-story design. And we're trying to say that a bungalow is really a 1.5 story, and I agree with John in the sense of saying that this is not bad, okay? But it's still, with the garage underneath it like it is, that creates a 3-story view of of this property, and it's hard to disguise it. And my hope would be that there could be some consideration about what do we do to try to maintain the integrity of the National Register Historic District and all of the land and what was there. This house that was there on that property was a vernacular. And I have the original plot plan that shows it. So hopefully that would be part of the consideration. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a public hearing for GLUA 19-00005, HR 1901. Alterations to the design and structure at 602 7th Street, the Oddfellows Hall. And we'll start with the commission report, staff report.
Thank you, Chair Basinger. We have received a request for a continuance from the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association for this item, and per ORS, we are required to honor that request. The applicant has indicated that they would like to save any of their presentation and most of the, unless there are public comments tonight, that they'd like to save everything for the next hearing, the continued hearing, and that they may be submitting additional information between now and then that we would add to your agenda. And so in light of that, I don't want to give a staff report on the details of the proposal tonight.
Can I ask you, didn't we approve the doors on that side
We did.
some months ago?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's these signs. Yeah. Okie dokie.
Do we need to have a motion to continue since it's automatic anyway?
We do.
Okay, I would entertain such a motion.
I'll move to postpone this or continue it till the April 23rd, I think it is.
Yeah.
Historic Review Board meeting.
Yeah, I suppose if there are no public comments, that the public hearing doesn't need to be opened. I don't have any comment sheets, so.
Okay.
I'd second it.
Moved and seconded. Shall we poll the board?
Okay. Board Member Met?
Aye.
Chair Basinger?
Aye.
Board Member McLaughlin.
Aye.
Board Member Blythe.
Aye.
Okay.
Smoke Daddy's Lounge.
It is continued until April 23rd. Do we have any loose ends?
I'll look in your email box for information about the Ruth McBride Powers Preservation Award.
Oh,
I'll
for
be
May.
looking for
That's right, for-
nominations.
okay.
So that we can make a decision on that award at the next meeting. And
Says
I
it all
think
right there.
we have to still sort out everybody's city-issued email address. So until we do that, because I don't think everyone was here when we did that with Katie Riggs the other day. So until we do that, I'm still going to be communicating with you
Oh,
with
you
your
were-
personal email.
I wasn't here.
You were here, weren't you?
I don't think I was.
Last month, we had pizza, and then in there, we were setting up our email. Weren't you here?
No.
So the two of you weren't
Last-
here? Was it
last
just the
month
three of
I-
us last
yeah.
month?
It was.
Yeah.
The party
Yeah.
fellas.
Yeah, I can't remember
Guess
why
you
it
guys
was.
are out of the loop.
Hey, whatever. What's new?
All right.
If there's nothing else, then we'll adjourn.
Yay, look at that, 7:30.
I
Holy
know,
crap.
that's like,
I told you it'd be quick.
that is like setting record.
Because the first